A word of warning. You're about to experience some serious word and wealth nerdery in today's episode. And when you meet this absolute powerhouse, you're going to get why. Prepare, or don't, to feel your brain bend in real time. She is a wealth psychology and high performance coach and consigliere to ultra high net worth individuals and families. Her zone of genius lies in skillfully navigating the non-financial challenges that accompany remarkable achievements, wealth, the transfer of wealth, and affluence. We are talking the 1% within the 1%. C-suite executives, wealth creators and inheritors, royals, champion athletes, business magnates, ultra successful people who you would assume don't need a coach. She's a lifelong student of human psychology, human behavior, emotional intelligence, wealth psychology, family dynamics, spirituality, luxury, and business and marketing. Through her high performance and wealth psychology, private coaching, succession and or family governance consulting, intimate masterminds, wealth retreats. She speaks on stages worldwide. She is the top choice to lead, coach, advise, mentor the most elite high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals. And if you can believe it, there's even more than that. Shayla Locklear, welcome to White Hot Business.
Hello. I'm like, I love that intro.
I wrote it myself.
Oh, I love it. Right. I love it. Sounds so good. Sounds like I wrote it. It's fine.
Sounds like you wrote it. I love your writing. I do have that as one of my questions for today. I'm getting ahead of myself, but you are an orator, and you are a wordsmith of the highest order. I just love bathing in your words. Is that something that people compliment you on?
Yes. And it's something that is, I would love to say is natural, which it is, but it's also very calculated. Like this part of me is words. And it's something that naturally I took to. I grew up doing debate and forensics and theater, of course, and writing poetry, and all of these things. And it ended up working out really, really well on this side of things. And it's funny that especially when I'm just like speaking or just in the zone or whatever, you'll hear people say that was like the poetry. And I don't even, half the time I'm like, what did I even say? I'm like, I'm just talking. But I love that because I want that for people. Like, that's my whole purpose in creating words in the way that I do and speaking in the way that I do, because I want people to be able to take my words and like see the big picture and feel it too. Like, people will always forget all the words that I say, right? But the feeling will never go away. So as long as you can see the picture and you can feel it from what I'm either written or I'm saying to you, then I did my job.
Yeah, exactly. And what feeling do you think stays with people through your words? What would the feeling be? Or what would you want it to be?
Rich.
As fuck.
Because I want you to feel that, because so often we don't get that, right? That is that feeling, that understanding. Those words are only kept for an elite few, and so the rest of us don't get to have that feeling. But that's not true. I don't believe that at all. So I want you to feel the riches, feel the wealth, the opulence. I want you to, like you said, bathe in it. I want you to desire it so badly that you actually make it your real life and realize that, hey, I can have this too. It's not just for you know, everyone else over there are the elites or the silver spooners or anything else like that. I get to live a beautiful, opulent life. And this is not just for those who were born into wealth. I get to create wealth myself, and I get to live in that beauty. I don't have to just deal with the hand that I was given.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's certainly, if I can confirm, as someone who bathes in your words and lovingly receives your words and experiences your words, I can say that's exactly what I feel, is this sense of like your words go beyond possibility into inevitability for anyone who really resonates with the vibration of them. It's like, well, this is a given. This is not just a possibility for you. If you want it, and if you're willing to make the strides into these realms, it's a given. It's a given for you. It's not even a question of if, but when.
Absolutely. It's and that's, in my world, that's the way that it should be. Now, some people don't agree, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
And some people, that's not their thing.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. Like, I don't say that wealth is the only way, but in my world it is.
Yeah.
Like, I agree. You don't have to come over this way. It's okay. Like, in whatever way you want, that's perfect for you. I'm like, but I was coded for wealthy individuals who tend to be attracted to me are very similar. And they're like, I so glad that like I can come into this space and say these things, because everyone else would look at me so different, or I wouldn't be accepted. And you allow me to say the things that I've been thinking so much, and I'm not crazy, right? I'm not out of my mind. I'm not, you know, completely delusional.
Yeah.
Although it does require a level of delulu. It's fine.
So, I'm not delusion, and there's some deluded, and there's some delusion required. I get that it's the both. It's not the either or, it's the both.
No, it's the both. Yes.
So I would love to know, why do most entrepreneurs and women especially, I really want to focus on women especially, why do they not go for their own like unbridled wealth? And why do they not target high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals in their marketing? Like, what's going on within their own wealth psychology that make it feel like an impossibility?
Well, I find it so interesting that, like you said, most people don't target a wealthier clientele, right? Especially if you come from the corporate world. And so I don't think that it clicks for most people. And I like to point this out, that most of us who come from corporate and then go into entrepreneurship, do you realize that your work, and whether you were C-suite level or mid-level management, or either just, you know, a regular employee, at the end of the day, you're still working for a multi-centimillion billion-dollar organization and company that needs you, right? Like they need you in order for their company to keep going. So essentially, you're already doing it, and you've already done it. Now, it was for someone else's company, not yours. Right?
Yes.
That's where people get mixed up. It's like, oh, well, this is me though. No, it's the same person. You are the same person. It's just now your own business. And do you understand the skill set that you have is transferable? So it's a lot of fear. It's a lot of, who am I to do this? Am I good enough to do this? It's a lot of also not understanding the psychology and the needs and the wants and desires and challenges of individuals that are wealthy or super high performers, famous, celebrity, whatever, you know, you want to call it. And the other part of it is, if you are someone who is well aware of this, right? Who's confident in themselves and what they have to do. The other side of things is why people don't want to work with peers, people who are like same level or ahead of them, is because I call it, we like, and excuse my language, like you can't bullshit a bullshitter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you're used to is what I would call fangirls. So people who are like year to
Yes.
4 years behind you, right? So these people,
Yes.
oh my God, you're so amazing. You're so,
Yes.
oh my God, I can never be you. How do I just get a piece of you? But when you work with your peers or people ahead of you, the whole dynamic is different.
Yeah.
So they're not fangirling out. They may respect you and
Yep.
appreciate you and everything else, but the things that you and the things that you do in the way that you be with individuals who are quote unquote behind you are not the same level, or you cannot do that with peers or people ahead of you.
Mm.
So they stay in their comfort zone.
Mm.
Like I don't want to, I don't want to do that. I love that, like, and we all have that, like, I love being wanted and needed and like praised and desired and all of that stuff. And that's not saying that your peers or people ahead of you won't do that,
Mm.
but the dynamics are very different.
Mm.
So they tend to just rest on their laurels and stay where they feel comfortable and safe and where no one's gonna call them up or call them out.
Yes. And it really landed when you said and it's everywhere in marketing. Target you 4 years ago, target
Yeah.
you however many steps back, like target.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is one option. That is a very valid option. And that's not
Okay.
a no, but there's also, I know that the long-term relationships I have with my clients who have way bigger businesses than I do are just, I am with you. The respect and the deep love and the brutal honesty with which we can speak to each other in shorthand is just it's not a thrill. A thrill's quick, but it's like a deep, protracted thrill.
Right.
It's so deeply satisfying. And
Yeah.
I just want to multiply all my clients that are at that
Right,
level,
right.
but
It's a
it's
different
brilliant.
thing. It's so
Yeah.
good. And like I said, it's not for everybody, but that's
Mm-mm.
why, like, to answer your question, people are so afraid of that. And to
Mm.
to own their brilliance in that level.
Mm.
Meaning, like, I don't compete, like I make a lot of money, obviously, but I don't compete with my clients in regards to money. Like they can buy and sell me, honestly.
Yeah.
Seriously, oh my God.
Yeah.
When talking about royals of Saudi Arabia, like
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. Like I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. I'm not trying to compete with you in regards to money. That's not here. It's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I understand that. And a word that concept that I'm hearing you touch on right now is this ownership piece, like being in full ownership of being in the lane of one and
Right.
doing what you're here to do with power and precision and influence. And all of that is so much bigger than money in so many ways anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's interesting because my persona, based on where you follow me, so if you're on like Facebook, then you're going to see a lot more of the money conversations, because most of my client base or most of my following on Facebook is more the business development side. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is like people who they want to be where I am, or they want to prepare themselves and call in more affluent clients and things of that sort. So that's cool. On LinkedIn, it's more of like the conversations, and I don't want to say it's higher, it's just different conversations about the challenges of wealth and inheritance and family governance and what does that look like, and quote unquote rich people problems, which is where people find me if they're looking for me to speak, or I'm going into private family offices, or the principals are on there and they're seeing what their family is, they're finding me like, oh my God, this is what my family needs. Like, oh my goodness. And so once again, when we talk about money, a lot of the times people get so jaded,
Yeah.
but the way that I feel that I talk about it, I'm like, I at least once or twice a week, depending on what piece of content, it's like it's so much more than money. Like it's so much more than money. But in order to get there or like get past that block, you've got to get the money. Like people won't see it until they get there, like, oh, okay, this is what she was talking about. So as much as I'd want to be like, okay, can we just all understand, like, of course we love money, it's great, it's amazing, but it's beyond the money. Most people won't allow themselves to even get there until that money part is like out of the way. Once you have the amount that you desire, it's coming in consistently, or you're seeing that like money only solves money problems, right? And then the rest we actually have to deal with. We're still humans. There's still things that happen. There's still, you know, life. There's still feelings. There's still all of that is still there. It's just that your bank account is like so much, you know, more fulfilled and overflowing and everything else. And so it's like that's the first step though. Like if you look at it as a society, like that's all the focus is, like you got to make money, you make money, you make money, you do this, you do that. Okay, cool. Well, let's get you to the point where money is no longer a concern. And then you're able to actually rest into what are the concerns? Like, who am I now that like all this stuff has been handled, right? And I it takes it to the, I like, what is it? The Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So once you get, typically, and this is just generalized, once you get past $1 million in your business, is when you're out of like that survival mode.
Yeah.
And now you're like learning how to thrive, which is a very different frequency than survival. And you unlock a whole different level of yourself. So a lot of times we think like, I know my purpose, I know what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And that's great. But once you get to, like I said, generalized, let's just say $1 million, once you get there and beyond, you'll start to like, there's a whole next level of you unlocked where you're like, I didn't even have access to that because there was so much pressure and so much focus on money.
Yes.
And it takes up so much room.
Yeah.
It takes up so much room.
Yeah.
When that's out of the way, then you're like, whoa, who am I now? Like, I didn't even know there was a next level of me. I didn't even see the world the way I see it now. I didn't even know I cared about these things because I was like so inundated with the money.
Yeah. Yeah. What do people tend to find? What do they tend to find out about themselves in that thrive frequency you were just speaking into?
Thriving is such a different way of being because we are born to survive. We're born in survival.
Yeah.
And it's a smart thing, obviously, that the creators created for us, right? Like we got to learn how to survive. So we cry so somebody feeds us. So we, you know, we learn this, we have to walk so that we can like get around and do the things. We learn emotions so that we can share with people like what's going on in our inner world and like if something hurts or whatever else. So we spend so much time learning how to survive. And when it comes to thriving, the challenge and what people find is like not a lot of people are naturally good at thriving and making money initially. Because once again, making money is a survival thing. And even if you get past the survival, right? You get used to making large amounts of money and things like that. And you're like, if it's taken away, oh my God, my identity, my survival is that. So once you get to a point where it's like, okay, money is coming, money is coming, money is coming, money is coming. And whether that is, you know, 30K to you, 50K a month to you, 100, whatever K it is, millions, whatever. Once you get to that point, then you're kind of like in this floating, I can't figure it out type of zone. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And the logical thing is I put myself back in survival. That's what I know. That's where I'm comfortable.
That's comfortable.
But when you go into like thriving, you typically have to learn how to make money again in a way that doesn't require that edge of survival.
Yes.
And that's challenging for most people because they're like, well, if I don't need anything, like, well, why am I making millions a month? Well, because you can, doesn't matter. Like, it's not a big deal. But it's like, well, I have to have that edge. Like, I need that edge, figure out that, what is that edge for me to continue to make this versus And something I teach is learning the art of living in the more than enough. And that is so hard for a lot of people because, once again, we're taught to survive, and that's what we've seen our parents do their whole lives. That's what we've seen our friends do. That's just what's normal, is survive, 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 survive. So when we're thriving and we learn how to live in the art of more than enough, more than we would ever need, it's foreign, it's unfamiliar, it is uncommon. And that makes people uncomfortable because, once humans, we're meant to be together. We have to do, we're in tribes. And when you don't have the same mindset of the other people in the tribe, then you get kicked out.
Yeah.
And although we don't do that in the same way anymore, it's still a very, once again, tribal feeling that we all have. It's like, if I shine too much, if I'm thinking something different, if I'm making too much money from people that like different than my family or everything else, I'm ostracized. I'm out of here. And so until I find another family or another people that like me, then I'm just out on my own. And do I want to risk being out on my own more than, having the safety and security, even if it's not what I want or not, logically what I want, of people who are like me or understand me? Or do I have to just dumb myself down just to feel part of the group? And so what people find in that thriving area is that it's a lot harder than you think, than you would have assumed that it would be, because the money doesn't solve the problem.
Did you have to go through your own process of that as you went on to receive more money through your business?
Yes and no. So I started the process young. Like, I grew up in a middle-class family, but when I say my soul was coded for wealth since a young age, that it just has. And so I've always been the one who not only could make money, but who desired more, who wanted more, always the most expensive. Oh, and I didn't even know what expense was. Like, I just wanted the best. I wanted this, I wanted that. And so at a young age, I started getting these conversations thrown at me and learning how to navigate that. Like, I wasn't really good at it initially, of course. Like, I remember my godmother, like, we were at Target or something, and I wanted something, and she was spoiled me and my sister so badly. And I remember my mom was like, that's too expensive. That's too expensive. No, she doesn't need that. That's too expensive. And I remember clearly one day, like, going to get something and coming back, and I was like, if it's too expensive, then I'll get something less then. Right. Like, I'll get something less. I was young. I was like, I'll get something less. And that was a lesson of, like, Shayla's too much. Like, that was the story that was told. Everything that I did, in a sense, I didn't know was too much because it's natural to me. But to other people, they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. So my lesson started very, very early. And so I had practiced and ways of being in the world and figuring this out from a younger age, so that when I got of age, I started to be more comfortable with just saying, like, I don't give a crap. Like, I don't want to be like you guys. And if I'm too much, like, I mean, initially, like, when you're younger, it's like, if I'm too much, then you're not enough. Then like, just kind of that. And you kind of go through that phase. And I'm like, you know what? It has nothing to do with you or I, whatever. Like, I'm me. And if that is too much for you, that's a personal issue, because I'm not attacking you. I'm not saying that you're less than. I'm not even saying anything that you have is, like, not worth it. Like, none of that. I'm just being me, and being me makes you insecure with yourself because you're not secure with
Yeah.
the desires that you have. Like, just tell the truth about what you want. And maybe that'll be a different conversation, but that's not my fault. And so
Mm.
I had to, that's not I can't carry that for you.
Yeah.
And me lessening myself will never make you more of whatever it is that you desire. It'll only make me sad. Like me, it doesn't make me happy. It makes me sad because me getting smaller and smaller and smaller does not help you. That just consistently assists you in not going after whatever it is that you desire, or not coming to the reality that like who you are and what you like is enough. And mine is too. Like, we can have two different things.
Yeah.
And none of it's better or worse. It just is. And so it was, like I said, I came through a lot of this younger, and I was able to make sense of it as I went through my process, growing and going out into the world and things of that sort. And it also helps the fact that, like, no matter what type of job that I did, I was typically the only woman, the youngest woman, especially when we go into higher level, like C-suite opportunities. And I was always elevated into the rich rooms or the conversations or things of that sort. So I was around all of that so much that it became natural. And so all the stuff that I learned younger, where I was like, I don't understand why this is happening to me, or why people feel this way, or that I'm too much, or blah, blah, blah. And then I was elevated into these rooms where it's like, oh no, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You were acclimatized in so many ways. You were acclimatized on your personal time when you were younger, and then in those corporate arenas, you were acclimatized there as well. When you first started, when you broke free and started working for yourself as an entrepreneur, what kind of pricing level did you start at? Like, did you expand into like 50K and beyond offers, or I'm just so curious how you started and how that compares to where you're at now.
So when I came online officially, I had just sold a franchise of mine, and so there's backstory to that, but like, I just sold a franchise, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, what do I do now? Right. And it's not an experience of so many like people. I was younger, had bought this business with, everything that I owned. I think I had it maybe 2.5 years, like quadrupled the revenue, did all the stuff, and then realized, yeah, this wasn't it. And I sold it. And so I remember my coach at the time was like, because I was like, what's next for me? Like, what should I be doing? And she's like, well, you're naturally such a good leader, a good coach. You need to go into coaching. Like, you just do this. And I was like, well, you can't make any real money with that. Granted, I'm paying her like $5,000 a month at the time. Like, and I was like, you can't make any real money with that. She's like, excuse me? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean it like in a rude way. But I was just like, it's just, I just didn't think of it for me. Like, I just seeing it. So I was like, okay, we'll try it. So when I tell you, I did the typical internet marketer thing where, all my mentors at the time, like from the internet marketing side of things, when I decided to go online and become a coach in that way, or officially label myself as a coach, then they're making millions, but a lot of them were the $97, $100, you do a master class, you do that, blah, blah, blah. So although it never really sat well with me, because I was like, I'm not doing any of this, but I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me listen. This is a new arena for me. Let's figure it out. So I started trying the $97, $197, $200, $300, this, that, all this stuff, $67, all that. Failed miserably. Like, I just was not good at it at all. Like, maybe I get a trickle here or there, but like, no.
Yeah.
So I made my first sale online at a time when they said you can't come online and charge multiple 5 figures as a new coach. So my first sale was like $13,000. And yeah, from the 197, all this, like it just, it didn't work. And so when I went to what we would consider higher end, that worked. And then after that, like a week after that, maybe I think I sold $7,000 and like two other $13,000, because that's the only offers I really kind of had at the time, was like things. And I was like, okay, this is working for me. Like, why did they say you have to do it this way? Because this is what's working for me. This is what people want from me. And I had an energy reading done, like from one of my clients, former clients. She's amazing at what she does, but she does this particular type of energy work. And she gives you like a whole, oh my goodness, a breakdown of like 15, 20, 30 pages of like your energy in business, all this stuff, like just based on, who you are, your birth chart, all that stuff. And so my energy in business is exclusive energy. So what that is basically like, I am best selling items that are like $5,000 and above. Like it's really hard for me to sell anything underneath that.
Yeah.
Not that I can't, but it's harder than necessary. It's like almost really hard. Like people don't want that from me. That's just how my energy works. And I am more of a one-on-one coach than I am a one-to-many coach.
Yes.
So I've kind of gone back and like with that, I've tried different things just because, we always do, but I've always come back to higher end or luxury level offers and working exclusively with clients one-on-one.
Yeah, I feel that. And I'm so glad, I'm so deeply grateful we're having this conversation, because I feel the narrative out there is this demonization of private one-to-one work, which is all embedded in my personality, my birth chart, my everything. And it's like the word scalable and like the en masse and the big memberships and I just feel like there is so much beauty and wealth and power and impact that people don't recognize in private work. Like the fact that you work with someone and then who impacts hundreds, thousands.
Exactly.
Like that is just as, maybe even more powerful, in my opinion, more powerful than impacting lots of people at a completely different level of their journey. That's all. That's not a criticism. It's just the truth of where they're at. And I just want to put that on loudspeaker to everyone listening, that if you love private work, don't get turned off and force yourself into the box of doing these en masse scalable group programs for a year and memberships and everything, when your calling and your gift is in private work.
Yeah. And the thing is with that, like can you scale it in a way? Absolutely. And as we spoke of before, this is why, like, I love Hermes. Like, they are still to this day, a $222.6 billion company, still privately owned by the family of 6 generations. And they still primarily do all handcrafted work. That is unheard of for any type of organization.
Yeah.
At all. And so obviously, most of us aren't selling handbags or things like that. Like if we're coaching, it's very different because we're humans and we cannot necessarily scale humans in that sense, like that one person, unless you want to like AI yourself. Like that's a whole different other conversation. But there is a way, and which is why I'm all for luxury, I'm all for high end, because at the end of the day, like you are one person, you are the commodity, and people have made multi-million-dollar businesses on 1 to 2 person organizations.
Yeah.
I know it's unheard of. Oh my God, you have to have 8 million You don't, if you don't want it. If you can't.
If you don't want it, if you're not designed for, if it goes against your design and your soul's calling, you don't have to do it that way.
No, because you know what's required of that is you have to be a great people manager as well.
Yeah.
So people don't just come to your, and it's your business now. So it's different than, hey, you working in corporate. You have to be able to manage people on top of managing your vision and everything else that you do. Not saying that you can't. You know, I have clients who are making multiple 8 figures in the coaching industry who have 30 people, right, who work with them. And I have clients who are doing the same thing who are having 2 or 3 people maybe.
Yeah.
It's completely up to you. But people to say that you can't make the money that you desire in that the one-on-one space, or you'll burn out, you're not setting yourself up for success in the coaching consulting industry if you're burning yourself out on one-on-one. Yeah. Then either we've got to look at how you set up your business and your offers, or we need to look at the pricing, or both.
Yeah. I suspect a number of women listening can't quite connect, or just have never really felt into the reality of having an offer that's 50K or 100K and beyond. Can you share with us or describe like the personal power and pleasure that you experience when you receive payments of that vastness?
So when I think about money in that sense, right? Or the payments of the clients, whether it's 100K, 250, 650K, you know, and that's typically for a family. That's not one person, but we're getting there. Like, we're getting there. But to me, it's just the commitment, and it's just the feeling of like, they're in.
Yeah.
They understand. It's not about me necessarily. It's like they understand their value. They understand their worth. They have a desire. They have a, not only, like I said, it's not a need, it's a desire to do the work. And so when I look at money, it's just an energetic exchange. Like, I'm giving you whatever it is that you need. So it's my knowledge, my understanding, my know-how in regards to your life, your business, your relationships, your money, and everything else. And you're simply giving me, like, what you're giving me is just the cash. That's just an exchange. Because I always say, let's skip past the money part and get to the real work.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, you can pay me and not do anything. And I've had people pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars and still not do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Like,
happens at every level.
Up to you. Right. Yep. Right. But do I get excited? Of course. I still get excited about every dollar.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Me too. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, someone gives me a free Starbucks, I'm like, oh my God. Yes. Like, and I'm not a person who looks for deals. Like, I don't shop like that. I don't care. I don't have time for that. I'm like, it's what I want. Like, let me get back. So I'm not like looking for a specific deal or anything else like that. Some people, they love that, like they get off on that, and absolutely have at it, but I don't have time. Give me what I want. I don't have time to look. No. But it's interesting because I still see the dynamic of different people in my world who have this idea that, like, I won't receive small amounts from them, like, or that it's not good enough in a sense. So they don't want to offer it to me, not because they don't, like, they just feel like, oh, that's almost like a slap in the face. So they'll be like, oh, I know you won't accept that. Like, I won't want to, like, oh, so my son's friends, my son's friend's mother, I think I was like picking him up with the boys and everything else, and we were going to basketball park. It's normal. Like, we all live not too far away from each other. So if one parent can't do it, the other parent does. So she was out of town or something like that, and I was just picking him up. Like, he's like one of my kids, doesn't matter. And so she sends me this, like, she comes back and she gives me this Starbucks card. And I was like, oh, because I love Starbucks, no big deal. And she's like, I was going to send you money, but I just knew you wouldn't take it. And I'm like, no, of course, like, I always look, but I'm so happy for Starbucks too. Like, no big deal. Like, it's so interesting. So people, like, they have this perception sometimes of like, okay, if you make this certain amount, or if you're used to receiving like so much that like the little stuff doesn't matter, they don't want to offend you. You're never offending me, believe.
Yeah.
Like you're never offending me. I will receive it, because you have to learn how to receive all amounts. That's the thing. Like all amounts are great.
Yes.
They're all
Yes.
amazing. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so if you can't receive small, it's going to be hard to receive bigger and bigger amounts.
Yeah.
And even when you receive bigger and bigger amounts, if you discount the small, then it's like almost a slap in the face. Like all amounts are, it's all energy.
It's all energy. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. What do women need to let go of in order to receive more wealth through their business?
That's a great question. So the guilt of desiring and wanting more, women naturally, like we're nurturers, right? Like we never want, we bring things in and we multiply, right? Like you give, and this is very traditional, but you give a woman a house, she makes it a home, right? Like you give us the sperm, we make beautiful kiddos. Yeah. We just are really good naturally, and we're really good receivers, but the world kind of blinds us to that. We get lost a lot of the times, and our natural desires are subdued, or our natural ways of being are subdued, especially when it comes to money. So we may be, it's okay to nurture my children. It's okay to nurture my husband. But when it comes to like money, oh no, I can't do that. Like that's not, that's not okay for women. That's not okay for us to do. But if you realize that, one of my favorite phrases is like, women are naturally good with money because we're natural multipliers. But because if we were looking at this in a traditional male, female, masculine, feminine, because typically a male is going out and he's bringing back the money or things of that sort, then women shy away from looking at it in a sense. Like, I'm not good with money. I'm not good. I'm like, no, you're naturally good because you're a natural multiplier. You just have to honor that and own that. So a lot of times women are afraid of money. Yeah. Women think that it's going to emasculate, in a sense, a man. And women don't often understand the dynamics of money, men, and relationships, because if I'm sure that you've experienced or seen like women who make a lot of money then tend to have the issues with the relationships or finding the man. And so when women see that, they're like, oh, I can have money, but I can't have love, or I can't have relationships. Yep. And then there is the other side of like, okay, maybe she's not good with the money, but she's got a husband and her children, and she's seemingly happy. But where's the wealth? And where's her like chutzpah in this? Like, she's saying that this is enough or it's okay, but God forbid something happen and her husband goes somewhere else or leaves or whatever. Like, what is she going to do? How do we figure that out? So there's always like this interesting dynamic or duality in regards to women and money, because one side you can be super, super good at it, but because of that, you don't learn the dynamics of relationship in regards to, I say this in very, like, how to turn it off, right? How to turn it off. Meaning, if you want that dynamic in the relationship where like, especially right now, we hear this like soft life, and I want to, I want to do all of this, and I want the ultra feminine woman and everything else, which is great, right? Amazing. But you see most women who make a lot of money don't have the quote unquote soft life.
Yeah.
And those who do, right? We sometimes, it depends on what, what area you're in. You see them being spoiled, or what we consider spoiled, or taken care of, and things of that sort. But at what cost is that life? So women's fear around receiving money a lot of times is because we have these dynamics that we see in society, and we don't know where we want to land. Like, I don't want to be over here because I want a relationship, or I want to be married. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want to be over here because I want to feel like I have no options or no nothing or anything else, but there's no middle ground and everybody's just yapping. There's so much noise.
Yapping. Yeah.
So a lot of times it's first of all figuring out the truth about what it is that you truly desire, and allowing yourself to say and want that, especially when it comes to money. This is what I want. This is how I want to feel. This is, I mean, yeah, we say a number, but a lot of times first it's the feeling, and then the numbers come, because like I said, I can say $1 million, I can get it, I've gotten it, and you're like, is that it? Like, oh, okay.
Anticlimactic.
Right. It's like, oh, okay. But I think humans, we learn that lesson very hard. Like, that's almost everything, though. You get the car, the house, you get the husband, you get the this, you get the that. All like, oh. Yeah. Because you think that's going to make you, and it never does. That's why I say money only solves money problems. That's it. It only solves the money problems because there's still you. You're still there.
My last question for you today is, what do women in business need permission to do differently, especially if they want to, which you've just touched on, but is there anything left unsaid from your end?
The basics of permission to be wealthy as fuck. It's just like, it's okay, because none of this makes you. Like, none of it does. None of it. I often tell the story that, okay, you may see me now, and this is like probably 4 photo shoots ago, but I'll probably still use the photos. I don't know. But I'm like, I'll probably still use the photos. But before, you never saw me with diamonds. You never saw me with any type of designer in a photo. You never saw any of that. And yet, and still, I was working still with high level individuals, very rich individuals, celebrities, all of that stuff, because I didn't need that in order to solidify who I was, what I did, and my talents within that, my gifts within that. Like, that's just raw material Shayla, right? I didn't need any of that to attract a higher level audience. And so I say that because I'm like, we often see the glitz, the glam, the Lambos, the this, the that. And we think that that is what is going to bring in the higher level individual. And let me tell you, they don't care about any of it. Not like those of us who are mid-level, or other individuals who are mid-level, who are trying to press each other. Yeah. Because I was luxury, I was wealth, I was queen energy, I was all of that before I had any of it. Yeah. And so once again, we go back. I'm great with duality. Once again, you go back to it. You could have it all. Absolutely, to the roof, have it. And I'm not ashamed to say, I love it. Absolutely. I would any day, no, give it all to me. Have it. But it never made me who I was. It doesn't. Take it away. Please don't, but also take it away. And it doesn't. Please don't. Doesn't matter. Because I started without all of that. Yeah. I started without all of that. And it's the same thing when I was like in corporate. I came up, and I don't know if you guys have this in Australia, but we had Forever 21. So it was like a really big like well, like a Zara, like how Zara is now before Zara was Zara, like all that
Yeah,
stuff.
right. Yes,
So,
of course.
right. So we had a
Yes.
Forever 21. It's huge. It was big, big, big. So I was the regional manager, right?
Wow.
At a super young age for like this whole area. Opened several stores. It was amazing, right? So it's so funny because Forever 21 is Forever 21, right? So I would, I was a store manager of like 4 different stores. So I would have the best like choice of all the clothes. I could see them before they go out, everything. You'd be surprised how many people would be like, is that Gucci? Is that Louis Vuitton? Is that this? Is that that? And I'm like, yeah, mhm, absolutely. But it was none of that. It was Forever 21. It was a $25 dress.
Yeah.
But because it was on me,
Because it was on you, because
they
of the
were
way
like,
that you
oh,
wore it.
oh my God.
Yeah.
She's, yeah. And so I started seeing like, I don't need any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because without it, who I am still radiates that.
Yeah.
And people are like,
Yes.
this is what this, oh God, did you get that from Dior? Oh my God. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, sure, I don't, whatever. And so now that I have it, I don't care. Like, meaning like I don't use it to bring more people in.
Yeah.
I use it because it just so happened to have a cute Fendi bag the day of the photo shoot and it worked well. I'm if I'm going out to have wine and my real life is a YSL bag or an Hermes bag and my phone and my cute little cup of rosé, like that's what it is.
Mm.
I'm not staging any of it. It's just what it is. So I don't feel bad
Yeah.
about them seeing it, but I don't use it as a as a ploy or a way to get people to come in.
Yeah.
And so I would say like unapologetically desire and I don't want to say go after, allow for wealth to be your way, but also know that none of the glitz and glam and everything else that you think is necessary in order for people to respect you
Yeah.
and
Yes.
pay you.
Yeah. Yes. That is such a perfect note for us to end on. Shayla, I love your words. I love your presence. I love your queen energy. And I am with you on every single point that you made today. I concur. I agree. I am with you. And I would love listeners to hear more about where they can find you. And we'll put everything in the show notes, but just where do you want people to be magnetized to get a little bit more of you and your word mastery?
So the best place to find me would be my website, which is www.theshaylalocklear.com. From there, it'll allow you to connect with me through my blog, which more of my words are being shown on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. It'll take you to each of those separate platforms. Or if you need to reach out to me privately, obviously my team is on there and my team of one. I'm proof, like I told you, you can do a lot of money without a lot of people.
Exactly, you can.
And so my concierge will reach out to you once you message me and we can connect and create a conversation.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so deeply for your presence today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I love you.
Yeah. Well, now Australia in particular is going to be introduced to you and who you are. And that just really excites me because we need more of you and we need and desire more wealth circulating amongst women.
Yes. Yeah. Just remember, we're all coded for it. So why not get good at it? Like, we're multipliers. Own that. Go into it. Don't be afraid of it. Like, money's meant for us. So why not?
Yeah. Money is meant for us. Thank you so much, Shayla.
Thank you, Lauren.